In early 2024, a comedy talk show titled India's Got Latent, hosted by comedian Samay Raina and featuring digital influencer Ranveer Alabadia, popularly known as Beer Biceps, sparked a digital storm. One particular episode, which featured a sexual remark directed toward a contestant, went viral for all the wrong reasons. The fallout was swift. Criticism poured in from all corners, legal, ethical, and societal, raising tough questions about the limits of humor, media responsibility, and freedom of speech in the age of influencers.
The Maharashtra Cyber Department registered FIRs against Alabadia, Raina, and 28 others associated with the show. They were charged under several sections of the Indian Penal Code, Section 499 and 500, defamation, Section 153A, promoting enmity between groups, Section 295A, deliberate and malicious acts intended to outrage religious feelings, plus provisions from the Information Technology Act, particularly those concerning obscene content.
Watch your parents have every day for the rest of your life.
क्या हो गया रणवीर भाई को?
अपने अपने पकड़ लीजिए तुरंत.
Or would you join in once and stop it forever?
Join in what the
The inclusion of Section 295A and 153A shows how the state often invokes sensitive sections in digital speech cases, even when the context is comedic or satirical. This can be seen as a pattern of over-criminalization of expression online. The Supreme Court intervened, granting Alabadia interim protection from arrest. However, it observed that the remarks made on the show displayed a lack of basic decency and responsibility, and ordered him to surrender his passport, restricting his travel.
But this raises a deeper constitutional issue. Article 19(1)A guarantees freedom of speech and expression in India. However, Article 19.2 allows the state to impose reasonable restrictions in the interest of morality, decency, and public order. The crux lies in the word reasonable. How do we define the line between inappropriate and illegal? Courts in the past, notably in Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, 2015, have cautioned against vague laws being used to suppress online expression. That judgment struck down Section 66A of the IT Act, calling it overbroad and chilling to free speech.
Yet, the current FIRS may indicate a legal gray zone. Can tasteless humor that isn't clearly obscene still be prosecuted as criminal? If so, are we setting a precedent for artistic self-censorship?
While the legal aspects dominate headlines, the ethical questions are equally complex. Alabadia later admitted in a public apology.
My comment wasn't just inappropriate, it wasn't even funny. Comedy is not my forte. I'm just here to say sorry. Many of you asked if this is how I wish to use my platform, and obviously this is not how I wish to use it. I'm not going to give any context or justification or reasoning behind whatever happened. I'm just here for an apology. I personally had a lapse in judgment. It wasn't cool on my part. The podcast is watched by people of all ages. Don't want to be the kind of person that takes that responsibility lightly. And family is the last thing that I would ever disrespect. Need to use this platform better. That's been my learning from this whole experience.
Raina also deleted the show's episodes and pledged to cooperate with authorities. But were these apologies sincere reflection or a PR move? And more importantly, was the content simply in poor taste, or did it violate ethical lines of media conduct?
My media creators today operate in a decentralized ecosystem where traditional gatekeeping is absent. With that comes a bigger ethical burden. When a show like this reaches millions, especially impressionable viewers, can we afford to ignore the influence it carries? Compare this to the Broadcasting Content Complaint Council, BCCC guidelines that bind traditional TV. YouTubers and podcasters don't face those same restrictions. Yet, public backlash and cancel culture have become informal regulators in the digital age.
हाँ, ऐसे मैं लेटेंट देखती तो नहीं हूँ, बट ऐसे थोड़ा बहुत इंस्टाग्राम पर देखा है. जो उसने कहा वो बहुत गलत था, बट इट वॉज ऑल ब्लोन आउट ऑफ द प्रपोजन. इतना जो ये किया ज़रूरत नहीं था.
हाँ, मैंने थ्रू सोशल मीडियाज इंडियाज़ गॉट लेटेंट का देखा था, जो रणवीर अलाहाबादिया ने स्टेटमेंट बोली थी. इट वॉजंट ह्यूमरस एंड ही शुडंट हैव सेड इट.
Of course, they are accountable for whatever they do, but क्योंकि उन लोगों के पास इतनी लार्ज ऑडियंस होती है, वो अपनी कंट्री के इतने यंग यूथ को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं. बट इस बात के लिए जो इतना, जैसे पुलिस वॉज ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व इन दिस, FRI केस हुआ था, ये सब इतना नेसेसरी नहीं था.
जो भी रणवीर अलाहाबादिया पर केसेस हुए थे वो जस्टिफाइड नहीं थे, और कोर्ट और पुलिस का इन्वॉल्व होना इट वाजंट दैट बिग ऑफ अ डील, क्योंकि कोर्ट और पुलिस के पास ज़्यादा जेन्युइन इश्यूज़ है जिन पर उन्हें वर्क करना चाहिए, ना कि इतने छोटे से इशू पर. और इतना ज़्यादा आउटरेज आई डोंट थिंक सो कि उसका कोई नीड था.
मीडिया ने जिस तरीके से इस केस को हैंडल किया, दैट वाज वेरी, छोटी सी बात को बहुत बड़ा बना देना. बिकॉज देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन आवर कंट्री विच इज़ हैपनिंग विच नीड्स मोर लाइट देन दिस केस. एंड सिंस वॉट मीडिया वॉन्ट इज TRP एंड व्यूज, सो उन्होंने इतनी छोटी सी बात को इतना बड़ा बना दिया. बिकॉज एट द एंड ही इज़ अ वेरी पॉपुलर गाय विथ लॉट ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस.
As courts, creators, and audiences negotiate this balance, one thing becomes clear. Freedom of expression is not freedom from consequence, especially in a country where speech intersects with sensitivities so easily. What we need is a media-literate public, transparent legal processes, and creators who understand the power they hold.